Welcome back to the Self-Care Zone podcast and our Leaders of Leaders series. Today I'm here with my good friend Michelle Devlin from Morale Care. She's the COO of Morale. G'day, Michelle.
Welcome. How are you?
Good, thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
No worries. So, Michelle, you're the COO or the Chief Operating Officer. You and I have known each other for a good number of years now. What's been your experience to get to that leadership type position?
Just being real, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being real. I think it's all about making sure, having come from a support worker to start with, making sure it's not only the participants that we're there for, but also the support workers, because they're the ones that are on the floor supporting participants, and they need to be supported, educated. Otherwise, their job's extremely hard.
Yeah. So I think you're one of the few people that I've heard talk about how, especially like support worker roles, that they're the important aspect of the business because they're the ones on the floor. A lot of people, and you would have said it yourself, a lot of businesses treat support workers like pawns and are easily disposable, but they're the assets of the company.
Absolutely. They're the ones that are out in the community that are putting our name out there. So absolutely, the more information we can give them without overload, just to make them understand and help them understand their role better, then I think it's a win-win for everybody.
And that comes back to like the psychosocial aspect of role clarity in, giving them the information they need to do their job, but also the support to do it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and it can be really simple things. I know when I was a support worker, I didn't understand why I couldn't stay half an hour late to my role. Didn't understand why I couldn't do 150 kilometers on a shift, why I could just take the participants everywhere, why you couldn't give the participants gifts, things like that. It's little things that when you explain that to the support workers, it makes sense and it helps them.
Yeah. So then how do you treat the support workers in terms of professional boundaries? Like, because you were saying then about that, the gifts and the driving and stuff, like that's professional boundaries. In my experience, support workers are only told what professional boundaries are once they cross that line and breach those boundaries.
So it comes down to we have groups for our teams, and we put information into the groups.
Yeah.
And regular team meetings and just supports from the team leaders.
Okay. So is there like a format that you work through to teach what professional boundaries are, or is it just kind of a half implied, half supported?
So I guess even with the support, you will still always get participants that cross that professional boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think the way to support them is it's not pulling them up and giving them a rap over the wrist or that. It's just educating them. Most of them do it for very good reasons. And once you explain to them the bigger picture, they get it.
Yeah.
Especially that giving gifts, and the participant thinks that they want that staff member all the time because that's their favorite. They all do that. We get calls. I get calls regularly from one of our participants who says, why can't the staff member go and buy me an iPhone? Why can't they take me for dinner? Because such and such will do it. So once you've educated the staff to understand that as a group, they then see how that impacts everyone else as well.
Yeah. So then, beyond the professional boundaries, what else are you guys doing to support the staff that it seems like most services aren't doing?
Again, I think just making sure that they feel that they've got that connection with management. And I know there's always that, management just sit in the office and we don't know what they do. So it's just giving them that connection that they can reach out to us. This is your line of contact. You go through your team leader. The team leader is in contact with us all the time, but we are contactable as well. And we will also pass that information on. So sometimes they don't want to go to the team leader for reason. Maybe they've got concern with the team leader. So they do have the point of contact with our service manager or myself as well.
Yeah. But then I think too that I've seen services go the other way, and the owner walks into the house willy-nilly. It's almost like he's micromanaging what's going on rather than stepping back and giving the support workers the autonomy to do that role with the freedom and the professionalism that should be there.
So I think, and this is what I've seen, we get a lot of support workers who reach out to us for like not silly questions. It's not silly in their mind, but little questions.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from a fear of doing the wrong thing.
Mm.
And it definitely does, because I mean, I know from past experience myself that you're scared to make that judgment. And it's just supporting the staff to say, look, we're trusting that you support our participants. So with that comes, go and do what you need to do. And if you make the wrong decision, as long as no one's dead, injured, then we can fix it.
But I think too, like a lot of places are going, well, if we remove that decision power from support workers, then it's us making that decision. We're protecting the business rather than supporting the support workers to be autonomous and make those decisions that would take us 2 hours to make, but they've done it in 5 minutes. So it's, creating more work for themselves.
Absolutely. And, again, if you let's go back to a BSP, for instance.
Yeah.
When a participant's heightened and going off, you're not going to turn around and say, can you just hold that behavior? I just need to refer to page 32 of your BSP. You think on the spot, and it might not necessarily be the right decision.
Yeah.
But as long as you can come back and you can reflect on it and you can see what can change or how we can improve things, then that's all that you can ask. Because I haven't been in some of the situations our staff are in, but I've read the incident reports and I can see how bad some of it can be. And sometimes you just don't have time. It's you're thinking on the spot.
Yeah. I had one years ago where I was with a young person. We were walking to the skate park and we're at a set of lights, and it was like a pedestrian crossing, and he's run up to the pole, pushed the button and waited for the green man. The lights turn red. The green man's gone. He's gone to step off. But a four-wheel drive, the bull bars have run the red light, and I've grabbed him to pull him back. And I'm like, okay, I've just, restrained him. I've also saved his life. And then I got raked over the coals for restraining this young person. And we're like, I was there. The decision was made to save his life rather than let him get hit by a car.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know how someone's going to react until they're put into that position.
Yeah.
And we've had the same. We connected with a behaviour support practitioner this week who gave some information to support one of our participants, and it all seems a great idea, but in reality we don't know if it's actually going to work. It was given the participant some fidget toys in the car. This participant usually uses these things as weapons. So is that safe when the staff members driving and start going to get fidget toys thrown at their head?
I guess there's only one way to find out.
Yeah. So again, you don't know about these things, and there's so many, restrictions put on participants. You go and you talk about restricted practices, and you try and educate the staff. You can't follow this. It's an unauthorized restricted practice. It's not been authorized. There's so much, and then there's so much change. And if you've got a staff member who's maybe working across two different houses, two different participants, they've got to also think about which house am I in, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
So you've got mealtime management plans, you've got manual handling, you've got restricted practices, along with just how you're supporting them in general. And you can go in and you can see a support worker who's, when we go into our houses, we usually just see our support workers are pretty much just they'll deal with it how they will deal with it when we're not there.
Yeah.
Which is great. They feel sort of relaxed. And sometimes you go, oh, probably you shouldn't have said that, but they're the ones that are with that participant every day. As long as no one's getting hurt and they're not too over friendly, they're not sharing personal phone numbers, they're not adding them on social media, and they're walking away at the end of the shift and doing their shift notes and then letting the next support worker come in and working as a team collaboratively. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. So then how do you, within the company, build that leadership and go, let's bring these support workers in, but give them the autonomous nature and support them to do that work?
Again, I think that just comes down to team relationships. So I've got a really good relationship with our service manager. We've worked previously before. Some of our team leaders I've actually worked with previously before as well. And they always know that they can reach out to us. And sometimes you just look at them and you go, you're really not asking this question. But again, it comes from a bit of that. They're just questioning themselves and just trying to offer them that support and confidence to, come on, you know the answer to this. You tell me what you think.
Yeah. I think
it can't be confidence.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think a lot of times in this industry, you've got people that are told you can't make decisions. But given the support workers are the ones that are with the participants, that they're the ones supporting them. It's like they're the ones that know the support worker better than the participant better than the team leader, better than you. So then let's support you to make that decision.
Yeah, exactly. So, trying to get them involved in, if we've got stakeholder meetings, not get them involved in stakeholder meetings, but trying to get their feedback when we give them new documents, ask them for their opinions on things. If we've got a house set up a certain way and they don't think it's working, ask them for their feedback. You tell me how you think the house would be better run, because the team leader might be doing it because that's the way we run all of our houses. But if there's a better way to change it in your house, give us that feedback, because we want to make it as easy for you as possible. Some of the houses are full on and busy, and things that will get missed might be little things like the floors haven't been mopped and they feel that they've failed in their job. So again, supporting them to understand that the priority is to support the participants.
Yeah,
part of your shift duties are mopping the floor, but if it doesn't get done, as long as you've given that feedback to the next support worker and explained to them what's going on, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And it's like, those shift duties can often be used as, a marker of whether it's a good support worker.
Yeah.
But that's not what makes a good support worker.
No, absolutely not. We've got support workers who will just take that because they know on their shift it's really quiet, and they'll just take on and just do all the shift duties that have not been done for the day.
Yeah.
But there's certain times of the day that are a lot busier, and if you try and share the shift duties out, but the participant could be going off and smashing the house up. The last thing you're going to be doing is don't smash the house up at the moment, because I've got the floors to mop.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to your journey through leadership, what are some of the lessons that you've had to learn through your experience?
NDIS is just an ever-ending change.
Yeah.
I think that's always a big thing. It's about wanting to collaborate, but wanting to collaborate with the right people.
Yeah.
And also just, I think one of the things that I tend to find, and it still fathers me when a support coordinator brings a participant out to do a viewing. I always say, have you shown them other properties? Are you showing them other properties? And I'll get looks as if to say, oh, you don't want them to come to you. And I'll go, only if that's what's right for the participant.
Yeah.
And also, so we've got a participant who's transitioning into one of our houses at the moment. And
again, I think the support coordinator seemed to be a bit surprised that we're happy just to make it as slow as it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're not rushing to get them in. This is a real person.
Yeah.
Who has to deal with that change. They've been in their current cell for 10 years. It's a massive change to not only him, but his family. So if that has to happen over, and it's going to be nearly 2 months from start to finish by the time they transition, and if that's the way it has to be, that's the way it has to be.
Yeah. It's like, for people who don't have disabilities, we don't like change. But then you throw in someone who might have a cognitive delay or a communication difficulty, that then gets compounded, and you're like, hang on, if I've been living in the same situation for 10 years and I have to move, it's like, well, not my choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be happy with that. But then you throw in something else on top of that, and of course it's going to take longer.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's happening in this instance is they actually went out yesterday and had a lunch or an afternoon tea with the current participants in the house.
Yep.
Spent a bit of time. They're going to do that again, and then they're going to spend a few days before they move into the house. So it's going to happen slowly. So because it's not just the new participant that's moving in, it's also the current participants. It's a change to them as well. They've got someone new moving into the house, and unfortunately, there's some instances, and we've had to deal with this, where there's instances where the participants haven't met beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had that happen twice in the last sort of 6 months for different reasons. One, they came from a provider that the family just did not want to let the current provider know what was going on for different reasons. And another one who was currently in hospital, and had been in hospital for months, and they just didn't think that he was going to be able to cope with going to the house, having a look, and then acknowledging all of that. But it was also the other participant that was going to affect as well. So we just worked with the OT, and the OT did some social stories for both participants. And it's worked really well, but it just gave them that option of getting a bit more used to it. And we actually put a bit of a hold on that particular transition. The hospital wanted him out before Christmas, and the stakeholders of the current participant that was in the house said they just felt it was too soon. And we had to make that call and go, as much as we didn't want him to be in hospital over Christmas, we wanted him to move once and it to work. So we made the call, we worked with the hospital, we worked with the stakeholders. He moved in after New Year, and so far we actually had a stakeholder meeting on Friday with the current participants, stakeholders, and they've just said they can't believe how well it's going. So, and if he'd gone in before Christmas, it could have been a completely different story.
Yeah. So then how do you match clients? Because a lot of services will go, well, there's a bed there's a client, we'll just throw them in. How are you matching that properly?
So first of all, when the participant is referred, I will make some suggestions of where I think that they might be best suited.
Mm-hmm.
I will get them to come and view the house. I don't get any details. I don't get any referral forms. I don't get any documents. It's just come and view. The support coordinator, the participants, and their family will come and view the property, and they'll maybe say, they've met those participants and they don't think that would work for one reason or another. And then, if we've got another option, then we will do that. But, and then after that, then we work on a bit of a plan. Let's get them to meet again out the home, if possible, or to come to the home. Let's get all the documents before we even get any paperwork signed. So again, they can still really pull out of that if it's not working for some reason. But to be honest, I don't think we haven't got to that stage because of the way we've done it. It has worked. It has worked well.
It's most like a lot of other services could learn from what you guys at Morale Care are doing, because it seems like what you're doing is the best for the participant, not best for the pockets of the business.
Look, it's a very hard one, because as a provider, you're not in there to lose money, and not everyone can afford to do that. And I completely appreciate that. And, even when I speak to support coordinators, they'll come to me and they go, as participants at 1 to 3, and I'll go, well, I don't really have anywhere suitable for them. Would you be open us to look for a new house? And they go, yeah, but we can't afford for you to claim anything other than 1 to 3. And I said, well, we only claim 1 to 3 because if that's all their funding allows, that's on us.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, I've spoken to other providers and they've said, well, you have to claim 1 to 1 if we're only putting that participant in that house on their own. And I go, well, that's why participants run out of money. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we've been in that situation. We've been able to ride that, and it has worked. And we, again, trying to explain to the support workers that, NDIS don't pay overtime. And when we've got a house and they're maybe only supporting one participant, and then we put another 1 or 2 in, and then the staff go, are we getting more staff? And then you try and support them to understand that the participant is only funded a 1 to 3. And that's hard for them as well, because they've spent a lot of time with that one participant and they just assume. And when you explain to them, we're paying your wages, but we're only getting a third of the NDIS rate back for every hour that you work, they go, oh, okay. Yeah, so it's just education on every side. But the longevity, I think, is just to make it work as when you can. It's not just about throwing people in. We're also looking at more of that concierge model as well, which I think is everyone's just loving. So we've got some units, and that was our sort of start. We've got a couple of houses with granny flats, but this 4 units altogether has just been a massive hit, and we just want to replicate that, because they just love still knowing that there's support workers around, but being able to have their own space. It makes it easier because they don't have to match as well. You still want the participants in that complex to be able to get on, but if they, rather than going into the room and just closing the door and losing it, they can actually go into their own unit if they've got the capacity to be able to do that. And that's working really well. Yeah,
cool. And are you finding that there are properties available for that concierge model?
Yes, I've actually got a meeting in half an hour with another property owner who is building ISIL concierge units.
Okay.
So so definitely out there. They're not as easy to find, and they're a lot more expensive. Obviously, you can, for the ones that we've got currently, we could have probably, for the 4 units that we've rented, we could have probably got 2, 4, 5 bedroom houses for that same amount, and we've only got 1 participant in each of those villas. But long term, they want to stay there because they're happy. And
it's their whole space. It's all their space. It's not, like you said, it's not like a share house where you've got a common lounge room and a common kitchen and a common bathroom. The whole unit is theirs. Yeah, exactly. And even when I look for properties, I like to get properties that have got more than 1 lounge room so that they can have their own space. So one of our houses has got 3 lounge rooms. So the 3 participants the 2 in there have got their own lounge room, and the third one will have his own lounge room. So otherwise, what do you do? They're just going to go off to their bedroom. And, again, I think, they've got to feel like it's their home, and that they've still got that area that they can have a little break from. You want them to engage and spend time with each other, but that's not real life. Everyone needs a little time on their own, and you send them to their bedroom like a little naughty kid. Yeah. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
So have I. So
going back to your leadership, do you feel that a lot of leaders are going that I need to, keep these decisions in? I'm judging whether I've made the right decision, and is that the right decision for the business, for everything involved?
Look, I think we'll always question what we're doing. I think, again, because there's just so many changes with the NDIS, and there's so much in the media at the moment as well. I think we'll always question whether we're doing things right. And, you know, there's some days I do things and I just go, I shouldn't have done it that way. But it's too late. I've done it and we learn.
Yeah.
And I think it's just about that, again, you know, none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's just about that, accepting that and taking ownership for it. And I always feel that, you know, for instance, our CEO, he's got the final say. It's his name above the door.
Yeah.
He's got the final say, but he's very good at listening to our feedback and our ideas. But you know, I always say to him, well, at the end of the day, I can walk out here and get another job. It's your name above the door. It's your company, and you get the final say.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, I think we'll always question ourselves.
Yeah. So then how then do you reflect on that and go, okay, next time in this situation, I might look at it a different way?
Again, I think that just comes down to team meetings, regular team meetings, and just getting that feedback from the staff, from the team leaders, from everyone involved.
Yeah.
Just so that we can make adjustments and do things better the next time. Maybe changes to our processes, the way we do things, so that we all can just learn. Because again, you know, we're the same. Sometimes we're put on the spot where we get a phone call from a staff member on a Friday night at 8 o'clock at night, and they want us to make that decision for them. And you know, we're not in the situation at the time, so we're making that call just from what we're being told, and it might not be the full story.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, just trying to improve on our processes and the way that we do things so that we can streamline it. Because as we want to grow bigger, we need to have those processes in place.
Yeah.
But we still want to be involved, which I think is the great thing. And, you know, as much as we are still quite small at the moment, we've grown substantially in the last year. This time last year, we had one house in Newcastle. We've now got 9.
Yeah. Big growth.
Yeah. And we've also got houses in Sydney. We've got a couple in Central Coast. And then we've got day programs opening next month as well, or 2 months' time as well. So we are changing, but we just want to make sure we've got the foundations correct so that we can. And then, yeah, we might change things again in 6 months' time and might change processes, because what's working now might not work in 6 months' time.
Yep. So then how are you know, with that big growth, how are you ensuring that the core of the business stays the same in terms of the you know, support for the staff?
So at the moment, we've got an amazing service manager who covers both Sydney and Newcastle. As we get bigger, we're going to need to expand the team.
There's not just a matter of one point of contact, it's multiple people that, you know, are available for the team rather than just one person.
Yeah, so the way that we do things at the moment, our groups, I'm included in our groups, so I can see everything that's going on across all of our teams. Our service managers included, our team leaders are included, and our CEOs included. So realistically, if one of us can't jump in, the other one will jump in, because you know, we're all entitled to be busy, switch off, however that looks. So, and again, then we all just come together and we'll just have a chat and go, you probably shouldn't have handled it that way.
Yeah.
How can we improve things the next time?
Yeah. So then looking at, you know, you just said that you're all entitled to switch off. How do you personally switch off?
Don't. It's hard. I'm trying to. I guess I think it just comes back from my initial start to the business, probably from when I first went up from a support worker up to a manager, and the expectation was that I was just available pretty much 24/7. So I think that's just the way I've gotten used to life. At the moment, I'm able to, but I'm still trying to put that boundary in place, and it's hard probably for me more than anyone else, but I try and make that boundary with the staff, with the participants, that, you know, I'm not available at weekends. I'm not available before 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe in the late afternoon, early evening, that they can message me, but I try and switch off. So if someone messages me like at 9, 10 o'clock at night, unless it's a dire emergency, then I'll just leave it to the next morning.
Yeah.
But I've done it quite well. We had a participant who, she's just an ILO, so she doesn't have a team leader, and she'll send us messages from when she wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and she now knows when she messages me, I'll respond to her 8 o'clock. Good morning. Remember, I don't work before 8 o'clock, and she'll always say sorry. Yeah. And now she doesn't usually message me until after 8 o'clock. She's sort of started to understand that. So again, it's hard because, you know, they might have come from a previous placement that they are able to contact people all times, but it's just educating them.
Very good. So, Michelle, we've got a bit of a tradition here where the previous guest leaves a question for the next person, not knowing who it was. And the question's been left for you is, what was the hardest part of your career and how did you get through it?
The hardest part was probably my initial start.
Yeah.
There's that, right, I'm going to break that down into two. So initially, when I went to my first interview as a support worker, I didn't even know what a support worker was. There was 30 of us in the room, all applying for this job. And I walked out and I walked back in and I said, I don't even really understand why I'm here because I don't know anything about the role, what I'm going to bring to this company. And so I think that was my initial, and back then it was a very, very different role. It was a support worker, community access. There was no training. I was just buddy shift out with a participant and then left on my own. I didn't understand anything. Shift notes, incident reports, nothing.
Yep.
So I've learned so much since then. And then my next biggest step was going from a manager to overseeing, so community access manager to overseeing 5 SIL homes, and I'd never worked in SIL. Fortunately, back then we had SIL team leaders, and I bounced off of them amazingly and learned so much. So yeah, but I think again, I think that's just every day you find different hurdles and something that you just think, wow, okay, I've learned so much today.
Yeah. And that's part of, you know, the community services industry is there's always things changing. There's always, you know, new funding guidelines which come out every 6 weeks. There's new policies, there's new ways to do things. Nothing's static.
Yep, absolutely. And just as you think you sort of got your head around it, and then they'll change it.
Yep. That's what they do.
Keep us all on our toes. And they wonder why participants get confused, because we get confused.
Yeah. Thanks for your time today, Michelle.
No, thank you for having me again.
Awesome. And if anyone wants to get in contact with Morale Care, I'll put their contact details in the show notes. And remember, look after yourself first so that you can look after other people. Have a great time. And I'll see you next week.